care. I'm really full of
I
concern.
gotta find at least one driving game because that's like a good like 3 a.m. game for me.
Ugh, I'm totally okay. Yeah, I need to get on this because I
Oh shit! I
barely,
also
barely
need to
got into it.
install Euro Truck Sim 2.
Oh, you do need to install Euro Truck Sim. Oh, these are going to be the extra live streams ever. And I guess you can forward a Twitch channel to another Twitch channel now, right? That's a thing they brought in.
There's like teams, Twitch teams that you can set up, and then oh yeah, no, because you can like yeah, you can curate or something.
So that'd be kind of good if like one of us feels the need to take a break. We could like forward the other stream over or something. I don't
Okay,
know.
let's figure out how to do that this week.
All right, that's a good thing. Good mission. Okay, let me record an intro for the
That wasn't
show.
the
I will
intro.
do.
We weren't recording our podcast. We're not done now. What's going on?
No, we're not done yet.
Damn it.
I'm going to do the intro, and then I'm going to read a little promo for one of our other network shows.
Who are we plugging this week?
This month is Beyond Boss Fights, which I will read about shortly. Okay.
They're WoW, right?
No, they're a multi-purpose show.
Slash.
Right. Okay. Hello and welcome to Cat Context Podcast, episode 62 for Wednesday, October 22nd, 2014. Halloween is almost upon us, so today it is the spooky episode. We're going to talk about scary games and scary movies and just generally being scared. So before I get into the show, you heard a little promo before this episode if you're listening to this, and it was for one of our fellow shows on the the Gaming and Entertainment Network, TGEN, and that's the show this month is Beyond Boss Fights, and it's hosted by Brax Wolf. The show is out monthly on the first Monday of every month, and Brax Wolf focuses on interviews. He does interviews with gaming personalities, and sometimes he scores some pretty cool little interviews on there. I think the most recent one was with fellow who just decided to become a startup indie developer and talking about what life is like behind the keyboard. So check that out, Beyond Boss Fights. If you like sort of smart interviews, it's definitely a very measured, intelligent show. So check that out on our network. It's tgenetwork.net. Okay, enough of the plugging. Hello, my co-hosts, Aerolite and Alindriel. Aero, how's your weekend been?
We had another tiny niece birthday party this weekend, so I have no idea what day it is or what time it is. In fact, I was caught by surprise when by the way, you have a podcast alarm went off, because a house full of screaming 1-year-olds is very exciting.
That is very exciting. What do you do when they're that small?
Basically nothing.
Drink a lot.
They toddle around, and the grown-ups drink soda, and then there's a cake, and the baby takes the cake and is supposed to squish the cake and make a terrible mess, which is why I'm glad it wasn't at our house.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know when that started, especially since both of my children on their first birthday, they did not squish the cake, they actually ate the entire cake, and neither of them slept for days.
So, kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Pretty much, yeah.
Nice, excellent. Ellie, how's your weekend been?
Pretty good. I was at the Pumpkin Patch earlier today, and that was pretty awesome. And I had some family in town earlier, so I went to the San Francisco Beer Fest yesterday, Craft Beer Fest. Yeah, that was like, you pay some money and then go in a giant harbor building, and there's like 100 breweries around, and you can drink all the drinks you want for an hour or for like 3 hours. And then find a designated driver to take you home.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that was fun. And pumpkin patch school, and I made a sweet Totoro pumpkin.
Nice. Did you roast the seeds? That's the most important.
Not yet.
part.
I have a big bucket of seeds. I bought like an extra big pumpkin this year because I got suckered into it. And then there were a lot of seeds, and I have a giant thing on my counter for this evening probably.
Nice. I'm not a fan of pumpkin or pumpkin spice or any of that nonsense, but pumpkin seeds fresh out of the pumpkin, that's good stuff.
So how do you do it? Since this is now a cooking podcast also.
Yeah, now that we're doing, I sprinkle a little olive oil and like Cajun seasoning on them and shove them in the oven.
You don't like brine them or anything ahead of time?
No, I don't. Nope.
Okay. Because I did that, I didn't do anything to them last year, and they came out like a little bit chewy. So I got to make them nice and crispy, and hopefully keep them crispy this year.
Ooh, if you come across the secret to that, let me know.
Will do.
Well, it's not all cooking on this show. We also talk about games. As I said earlier, Halloween is almost upon us. So we're talking about scary games and scary movies. And here's where I start out with an admission, you guys. I love scary movies. I think there's no argument about that. I have a really hard time playing scary games. I think because games are much more immersive, and I'm in control, so if I get my character killed, it was my fault, as opposed to, the director's telling a story, so if someone dies, it's his fault. And so I'm kind of a chicken when it comes to scary games.
I understand.
Well, that's interesting.
It's true. I will watch other people play them, but I don't like playing them myself so much. I get scared.
Huh.
Yeah. I'm actually, I think I'm well known around here for not liking scary movies, but I have way less of that problem with games for whatever reason. So I probably have a similar I'm in control thing, so it's not all jump scares. I don't play a lot of scary games, but when I do, it's less bad for me. Except The Walking Dead, which I still haven't finished because it's super stressful. Although it's not really scary, it's just stressful.
It is stressful. You played that during Extra Life a couple of years ago, as I recall, and even I got stressed out watching you
play. God, I know. I made it through 3 episodes of season 1, and I really want to go back because the characters are awesome, but I'm just everything I do is horrible. Around the corner, somebody else is gonna die, and it's gonna be my fault, and I could have saved them, but then somebody else would have died, and oh God.
There's lots of making very serious decisions.
Right. Yeah, they did a really good job of not making any decision good.
That's true. Era, is there any difference in how you treat scary movies and scary games?
Yeah, sort of. I think scary games are more fun in a group. Scary movies are too, but I'm more likely to watch a movie alone than I am to play a game alone. Playing a game alone just doesn't seem like as much fun.
Absolutely never. Scary movies on your own, that's the worst.
I have to admit, since I have been living on my own for the last year, I've had to cut all home invasion movies out of the scary movie routine because I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. Those weird ones like The Strangers where there's someone silently standing in the background? Nope. Won't even watch the trailer. Nope, not going to do it. So, okay, Arrow, you have done a lot of research, so talk to me about scary games. What are some of your favorites?
My very favorite of all time is Eternal Darkness, which is a GameCube game, which means no one has ever played it, and a very few people have heard of it.
I still have a GameCube.
Oh, Eternal Darkness is the best. It's the graphics haven't held up very well, but the story is so fun. It's this generation sprawling, kind of vaguely Lovecraftian inspired, the giant, horrible, unknowable beasts are going to destroy the world, and it's so great. The subtitle is Sanity's Requiem, and they're not fucking around. You've got 3 meters. You've got your health, your kind of magic, and your sanity. And as the sanity meter goes down, the way they reflect that in the game is they do things to fuck with you, the player. If you're running around with no sanity, and all of it, you can walk through a room and your character will spontaneously combust. Or statues will move. Or it'll mute the sound and flash the little mute thing that goes with, the standard 1998 television.
Nice.
My favorite was we went to save, and a little pop-up said, "Are you sure you wish to delete all saved games?" No, we don't want to delete all saved games. Deleting, and then it pops up the opening screen again. It is the best. I love it so much. Everyone should play it. I don't know how you can. There was very briefly a Kickstarter to reboot it for PC, but it did not actually happen. I guess they didn't really have the rights to it, which is a crime. Everyone should play this game. It is the best.
Alright.
For accessible, Silent Hill 2 and Fatal Frame 2 are tops on my list. I actually have a lot of Japanese horror because they tend to be third person, or at least when I liked them, they were. And I prefer third person, even first perspective, like Resident Evil 1 and 2, which are also on my list, to a all you see is a hand wielding an axe kind of thing.
Nice. Ellie, I know you talked about you're not necessarily so into the scary stuff, but do you have a favorite scary game?
I don't know. There were games that scared me. I tried really hard to think about something for this because I knew you were going to ask me, and I came up with I don't know. It's hard for me. Is Gone Home a scary game? Because I was scared when I played it, but I was nervous scared rather than jump scared, terrified scared.
Isn't it like you don't know if you're gonna make rent this month scared, as opposed to there are monsters going to eat your face scared?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think I'd like that.
That's an interesting distinction, and I am not necessarily good with. I've talked about Cart Life, which is basically just that, the game.
Yeah.
Existential anxiety, the game, and I'm not sure that's necessarily up my alley.
I mean, it's psychological tension rather than physically going to get eaten by some horrible monster, right? So, I mean, I don't know. I think that is its own kind of horror for sure. But I'm not really into the horror movie situation, so I don't know what the genres are or the subgenres. I remember playing early Resident Evil games. I played a bunch of those, and other games of that same type that came out in I don't know, the mid to late 90s. I was into those then, but not really since. I don't know. For whatever reason, I just have gone different directions, and probably because I never got into horror movies either. So.
Yeah, that's fair. Ara's already given the shout at Silent Hill 2, and I've talked before on the show about Silent Hill 1, so let me mention one that I haven't brought up in the show before yet, which is the first Dead Space, which
also
is
on my list.
very
it's
good.
It's on my Steam list.
Oh,
I own Dead Space.
Play all the scary games next weekend.
Well, I don't know.
I actually can talk a lot about Silent Hill 2 still, if you want to keep going. Seriously, I could do this entire show myself if you guys get bored.
Okay.
No, I meant I just really like scary games. Okay, that's all.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's what we're talking about.
Okay, don't ever use the Canadian kindergarten teacher voice on me again.
Oh, come on. I've been working on that one. It's an art. Dead Space. Dead Space is super duper good because not only do you have that combination of scary in space, you're all alone in the middle of the cold, dark space, but also it's got a pinch of body horror and really excellent sound design because, you can hear things scampering down the hallways off to the side of you and you don't even know. You don't know what to expect. They're horrible. It's a nice combination of things. Now, let me ask you guys this. A lot of the popular scary games, like Amnesia and Alien Isolation, which just came out, rely on the main character not being able to inflict violence back. So they don't have a gun. You have to hide.
Oh.
Is that a critical part of a good scary game, you think?
Okay, so I have not played either of those, but just recently, as in within the past week, Mr. Arrow and I loaded up Outlast for the first time, which was my first experience with a game where you can't do dick. I love Fatal Frame, but at least you've got the camera. You still do a lot of running and hiding, but at least there's the camera when you're desperate. Outlast, no. No. That's a whole no. And in fact, he and I were done with the game at pretty much exactly the same time. We went through, there was this horrible sequence where we were trapped by a terrible demon butt monster and it ripped us to pieces and there was blood everywhere, and at the same time we said, well, that's the end, and we left. And
is that because you couldn't
do anything. And so it's the stress level was like Ellie talking before about a roguelike where, if you forget what you're doing, then you play and you lose all your progress and you're dead. And this is, you can't even, shine a flashlight in their faces in desperation. If you're not hiding in exactly the right place, you're done.
Yeah, I've heard that that's one of the things that people struggle with in Alien Isolation 2, is that the monsters kind of either gets you or doesn't. Like, a lot of times, like, you don't really have a lot of control and no way to respond.
No way to tell which hiding place is the right hiding place, especially in a game like Outlast, where the different monsters have different skills.
Mm.
And so you don't know if this is a monster that's going to sniff you out in the closet and you need to go to the ventilation shaft or... But I did hear Alien Isolation described as vanilla WoW in Stranglethorn Vale.
I saw a great tweet about Alien Isolation, I think by Tom Francis of the Crate and Crowbar podcast, in which he said, the way to play Alien Isolation is, if you can see the alien, hide in a cupboard. If you can't see the alien, hide in a cupboard.
I heard it described. It's the level 60, the max level hardcore raider who just wants to gank you all the time for no reason, and there's nothing you can do.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Yeah, well, I've committed to playing some Alien Isolation for Extra Life next weekend, so on the 25th. So you guys should tune in and watch me figure my way through that whole situation. I actually heard that like the first few hours of the game are a little not alien-y, like that it's not about the alien, it's other stuff's happening. So I think I'm just gonna start it on stream, but I may start it earlier and just get to the alien stuff, but I don't know.
I've heard that too, that like the first hour or so is sort of all set up and then comes the payoff.
Yeah.
But that's a very good example of those games where you're just like a weak victim basically having to hide. And I find that stuff is really scary, but also, I don't know, there's something to be said for games where you have the satisfaction of shooting things in the face too. Like Dead Space, where you get the big guns by the end and you can feel a little more in charge of your own destiny. But they're still scary.
Yeah, I'm totally I don't know. The games where you don't have anything to do, those are hard because it's just about the jump scares and it's just about the tension and running away is fun, I guess, and scary, and like if you have to do that, then like it's good to have to do that. Like it's nice that they include that, but I don't know. Like I don't think it has to be that way to be scary. Like I've definitely been scared in games like Doom 3 where there's shit going on and it's dark and like you can't tell. And I mean there's lots of jump scares and stuff there too, but like you just don't know when stuff's gonna happen and it's tense and you can still shoot and kill all the guys, but like you might get overwhelmed. I mean like it's not like you're gonna necessarily live just because you have a gun.
Yeah, that's true. Like I have moments of being scared in like Dragon Age, just because you're going through a ruin. At some point Darkspawn are going to jump you, but you don't know when it's going to happen. So every time you go through a ruin, you're like,
or giant spiders.
Or giant spiders will appear behind you. Yes, or puppies, depending on what mods you're running.
Definitely the puppy mod. Can't play it without it.
I'm not sure the puppies aren't less scary, honestly.
It's a giant puppy.
I don't mind the running and hiding as part of an overall game. Like all three of my favorite horror games, Silent Hill 2, Fatal Frame 2, and Eternal Darkness, all have sequences where you have to run like fuck and hide. But like if you're ever playing a Fatal Frame game, if it ever goes black and white, there's nothing you can do. Run away.
I'll remember that for Extra Life.
Yeah, run away. Just run away. But when that's the entirety of the game, it's not as much fun for me because there's way too much I don't want to say anxiety and pressure, but worrying about everything else that you have to do in a game, like keeping the map in your head, making sure you know what puzzles are where, inventory maintenance, all that. It's too much for me to do to enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can't remember if like Resident Evil ever had parts where you could get attacked while you were in your inventory, but there are games like that, and like it's nice to have a break, I guess, right? Like on some
I
level.
don't like that. I actively dislike that if I can still be attacked while I'm in my inventory.
Yeah.
Silent Hill 4, not the best in the series, really strange story, doesn't actually make any sense, but it had a really clever conceit there where, like in all previous Silent Hill games, when you were in the light world, you were safe. And full stop. That's the difference. There are 3 levels of world in Silent Hill. When you're in the light world, you're good. But in Silent Hill 4, even when you're in the room with your special inventory box, bad shit could go down. And that was new and daring for this series, and that was really interesting and leads to rise of a whole lot of critical theory around the game and the nature of reality. And I'm sorry, I'll stop.
You're not sorry.
But that was one time where I thought that was okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think
like in Resident Evil, like in 1 and 2, you had the safe room that had your crate in it.
Right.
There were never zombies in the safe room with the crate in it.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, of course, there are individual instances of that where it's a design decision, and I can understand that. But generally, I agree with you, Ellie, that I like knowing that there are places I can... It's like games that have respawn. I don't like it when the rooms behind me respawn. I feel like I've already killed these things. This should be my safe zone now.
I mean, I don't necessarily mind that, but
if there's a story reason for it, I'm okay with it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I don't know, I like to be able to pause a game, so, like, you know, sometimes that inventory takes the place of pause, like, functionally, but if it doesn't actually do that. I mean, I think it's really interesting to, like, build a sort of language and then to break that language, like you were just talking about in Silent Hill. And I think that's cool, but I mean, it's just like you can't have tension all the time, or like you have to like.
Or the tension is meaningless.
Right, and you have to have some times where it's not tense, and it's okay that it's not tense, and then like it's also useful to have times when it's maybe not tense, right? Because
pacing is really important.
And
I would say. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think that it's. I mean, I think that's. I don't know. That's difficult in every kind of movie, let alone horror. And I can't talk too strongly about horror. I don't want to, you know. But I don't know. I find that that's one of the things that I don't have enough times to back out of the tension, and that's kind of what takes me out of enjoying horror in general. Like being tense for 2 hours is like. I don't want that.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely need that pacing. For me, like, for example, Outlast, I found it to be a little too... It never stopped, and it just kept trying to, like, up the ante over and over and over again until you get to the end or to the sequel, and that just, like, it gets ridiculous because they're always having to up themselves. And I agree, that's just exhausting and no good. I mean, to a certain extent, it reminds me of games like Cook Serve Delicious, which are... like Twitch games where you have to hit buttons really quickly in a certain order, like QuickTime games, because it's the same kind of panic, and I can only play that game for like 20 minutes at a time, and then I'm like, okay, I'm exhausted. I can't handle this anymore. It's the same as something like Outlast, where it's just like scary, and you know, after like 15, 20 minutes, I'm like, okay, whew, I'm done. I need a break. This is too much.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the slow build of horror and tension, and if you start out over the top, where is there to go?
Yeah. Yes. That totally applies to movies, too. I mean, you look at, say, something like Alien. I
don't know what you're talking about.
That is a crime against humanity.
I don't. How do you even get to this point in America having not seen Alien or Aliens?
Well, you can't see Aliens until you've seen Alien. It doesn't mean anything.
That's true. But they're both. They're both.
Okay, so Alien came out in 1979, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was not born in 1979.
Really? Because I saw it in the theater, because my parents are the devil.
Did you really? Oh my God!
They would go.
Crazy.
My dad worked third shift until I was 8 or 9, or 7 or 8. So we lived at night, so we would go to, like, the noon movie. And we would be the only people there, so we weren't that bad. But still, yeah, I went to a lot of questionable movies when I was...
Man, I'm a couple years older than you, and I remember seeing the poster for Alien and being like, Mommy, I want to go see that. And she's like, no way. There is no way I'm taking you to see that movie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. My parents were not into anything like that. Not even really sci-fi, and so it just was never really a thing that came up in my house. I remember seeing Ghostbusters at a drive-in. That was like one of the earlier I mean, that movie was freaky when I was the age of Ghostbusters coming out.
Oh, you Slimer with the hot dogs?
Yeah. And I remember seeing, like, Jurassic Park was scary to me when that came out in the theaters, and, like, I saw stuff, but it was just never really like a consistent part of my life, and so then I never saw it. And then, like, you get to the point where you're, like, in college and everybody's like, yeah, Alien's awesome, I've seen it like 100 times, like, blah blah blah, but nobody actually wants to watch it again. They just want to talk about how awesome it is. And, like, I just never watched it. I don't know. So it's on the list for this week because I realized that I can't actually watch Alien Isolation, or I can't actually play Alien Isolation without the requisite background.
You should get the source material on that. But Alien, when you see it, you'll realize it's a definitely good example of the pacing. And,
Yes.
That's a movie that goes like the first half hour, 45 minutes, blah, 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 and then bam, and then it knows how to escalate it up from there.
Right.
And that is definitely something that I also want to see in games with that kind of pacing. I think Silent Hill's usually pretty good about that, at least the first two.
The only really comparable monster movie to Alien with excellent pacing is actually Pitch Black.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I have seen that.
monster movies, for some reason, even like Cloverfield, they go way too fast, and they do the reveals way too soon, and that's not the point of a monster movie. Study your history, people, before you make these movies, and stop making shitty monster movies. It makes me sad.
No, you're right. They rush to get the monster out there, then you're like, okay, I've been here 20 minutes, I've already seen the monster, I watched it kill somebody, blah, bored, whatever. Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Pitch Black is a great movie. It's a great movie.
It is one of my all-time favorite monster movies.
And, well, it should be. It is excellent. I've seen that a number of times. I might have watched that again now.
Yeah, now I'm thinking about it, too. I'm impressed that Ellie's seen it.
Yeah. Well, that came out, in the college go see the movie time, so...
Well, definitely, and Aliens is one of the rare examples of a sequel that may actually be better than the original. In fact,
yeah, no, they're both on my list. I don't know if I'll get Talon to be able to watch them with me because she has seen them and said she has no interest in ever seeing them again. So, but I'll find a time.
Well,
Arrow, Alien, or Aliens?
I think they are completely different genres. Because Alien is a monster movie. Aliens is more about people than it is about the monster. That's more about, it's a different... I don't know what what subgenre you would call that. In a game, I would call it survival horror.
Yeah,
Alien
okay.
is not survival horror. Alien is straight up monster movie.
You're right. I would totally agree with that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I... survival horror in I think maybe it's an indie thing, but there's so many survival horror games coming out, particularly survival horror games with crafting, which I haven't found a game that has really hit the right combo with that, but that sounds like a lot of fun.
Why would you craft? Well,
because
survival horror with crafting is like DayZ, right? So
Yeah,
Well,
there's a bunch of those, or Project Zomboid, or there's a new one with voxels. It's basically Minecraft with monsters.
Is that the Tryon one?
Well, what kind of crafting are you talking about? Because, like, I mean, Resident Evil, you could combine different herbs to make different medicine in a
I
crafting
think
window.
this is more like if you want a gun, you're going to have to, I don't know, forge your own metal or something, or...
Oh, screw that!
I mean, like that's the part of Minecraft that I don't like anymore. Like the adventure time part of the adventure part of Minecraft is like you have to build a thing so that you don't get killed by the monster, and in order to do that, you have to like go find the metal and the wood. I don't even want to do it there, and that game's all about building, even the survival part.
But there's sort of the appeal, like, there's that Sony H1Z1, or H1Z1, as we call it in all correct Commonwealth countries. And that's very much like there's a zombie apocalypse, and now you have to go out and, like, forage for supplies to reinforce your camp of people and whatever. And that, I mean, that's kind of an appealing concept.
Kind of sounds
I
like
think.
Sandbox Oregon Trail.
Yeah! Sandbox, see, I would play the hell out of Sandbox Oregon Trail. Hell yes!
Of course you would.
Zombies, sadly, are kind of overdone, and I'm a huge zombie fan from way back. And now I'm sick of zombie movies. I'm sick of zombie games. I'm just sick of zombies, and it's
Well,
so
they-
sad.
Well,
Stop
they're really
using
easy to
zombie
do.
to mean anything.
They're really easy to do.
I mean, zombies used to mean something. I mean, Dawn of the Dead, that's a very specific socio-political commentary. And now it's just, look at us, we're undead monsters who eat your brains. Again, study your history before you make these fucking movies.
Well, I think the emphasis now, too, is on, look at us, we're like awesome survivalists who get to shoot everybody. Whereas the appeal to zombies to me was always, you know, that your loved ones are coming to kill you, sort of. Unless, like,
Yeah.
I am going to be an awesome post-apocalypse Duke Nukem, which is kind of the emphasis on a lot of zombie media now.
Well, it's an easy way to kill a bunch of humans.
Right, and not feel bad about it.
Yeah. Like, so, I mean, and it's a lot cheaper makeup-wise than monsters or CG-wise. There's definitely something about the horde, the zombie horde, that is, you know, the like unstoppable zombie horde thing is like I don't know, it's easy to write for. I think it's easy to understand.
But they're not understanding it. I mean, the point is mindless, jingoistic culture.
It's easy to understand from a viewership perspective, not from a writing perspective.
Sorry,
You're a good
I have a
Romero
literature degree. What do you
traditionalist,
want
bro.
from me?
You're a Romero traditionalist, and I appreciate that, because I am too. But the modern zombies are no longer about that. They're all about... And then they run fast. There's no fast zombies, okay? That's just not a thing.
I mean, yeah, I fast zombies are weird.
Well, it's like any other genre. One person does one thing in a story, and then everyone else takes it. I mean, Anne Rice with the sexy vampires, and then Twilight, God kill us all. No one listens to Zathras is the problem here.
Vampires are kind of ruined too, actually.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a game that did vampires?
Wasn't there Blood Mask?
Does that actually do vampires correctly?
Well, it depends. There was a Vampire the Masquerade, which I never actually played, but that was based on the role-playing game. So, I mean, the pen and paper game.
Right.
Which I don't know if you were aware of this, Ellie, was actually a TV series for a while.
Was it?
Yes, and it was fucking terrible.
That sounds.
I may have actually watched that. I think my sister was.
It was a Vampire the Masquerade TV show?
Yes, it was. Have you ever played Vampire? They randomly switched the Bruja and the Ventru for no good reason.
No,
I don't even know
I've
why.
like read a couple of the Vampire source books, but like when they were popular back in like the late 90s, or mid 90s.
Yeah.
So it's been ages. That's crazy. What a weird thing to have as a TV show.
Why is it not on Netflix? Because that would be amazing.
That would be amazing. Okay, so zombies. I'm over zombies. I'm over vampires. What
What
am
do
I
you want?
not over?
Space? What about space?
I like space. I like space. There's not enough that does the desolation of space.
It's really hard to do.
It is, and I think games actually do that better than movies. I was having a conversation with someone the other day about what's your favorite space horror movie, and we were having a really hard time coming up with anything beyond Event Horizon.
You liked Event Horizon? That movie was
Event Horizon is
terrible.
awesome.
No.
Event Horizon's
What's
fine.
wrong with
What are you talking
you?
about?
God.
Oh my god, it's about have you seen Of course Leora's seen Sunshine, I'm sure.
You know what? I haven't.
Oh my god, you have to see
I
it.
know.
It's so great. It's got Mark Strong in it. And as soon as you see Mark Strong in the cast list, they're like, I wonder if he's a bad guy.
I know.
There is.
Well, that
Yes.
is Cillian Murphy, the world's prettiest man in it, so I'm going to have to see that.
It also has, damn it, Captain America.
Oh, Chris Evans?
Chris Evans, thank you. I was going to say Chris Hemsworth, and that was wrong.
What's wrong?
Both of those are pretty men also, though, so...
Yes, and Chris Evans is appealingly scruffy and angry.
Ooh, I like that.
And it's all about the desolation of space. And
Okay,
it's
well, that
terrific,
is on my
and
list then.
definitely watch it.
What's it called? Sunshine?
Sunshine.
I have heard of it. It is on my list of movies that I need to watch, so this will just bump it up. But I think games do the desolation of space better just because it's easier to render a game than a realistic-looking space with people.
I mean, sort of, but do they give you the right... I find that it's hard for a game to capture that sort of nothingness, because games always want to be doing something, and like I don't know, part of what like drives people crazy in space is the fact that there's nothing around and nothing to do. I don't know, not like it's hard for a game to do nothing well. I think like the downtime in a game is difficult to get right.
Wow,
I mean, I'm not saying they
that was
did it
kind of
well.
deep. I think that was right. Yeah.
I'm not necessarily saying they've done it well in film either, because I'm not sure they have. I mean, there are movies that take place in that. I mean, like Moon is kind of like that, and there's more to it than that.
That movie is great too.
That movie's awesome. That movie is
That is
really
awesome.
good. But I mean, that's basically about that, right? And it's about like loneliness, I guess, and stuff. And I don't know. I mean, there's not that many movies that do it well, but it's hard. It would be really hard to capture the feel of Moon in a game. I think that's not a game like. I guess Gone Home did it.
It would have to be. I was going to say it'd have to be a walking simulator. It'd have to be Gone Home style.
I mean, it'd be really cool to like be a dude taking care of a space station. Like, just somebody make that sim.
Yeah.
Like, just
like
walk
the
around and like press
2001
buttons. Yeah.
Dude in a space station.
Yeah.
That would be really interesting, actually. There you go. Indie games. We should look into that.
Right? And indie games are the perfect place for it too, right? Because like you can't take that kind of gamble on a big payment, with big budget, because like I don't know, you're unlikely to do it. I mean, Moon is an indie movie, so they didn't even do it in movies. So
Yeah, I think the thing with games is the point of most games is to put the player, make them feel like they're, I mean, in the game, but also like in control of their destiny. Like, we've sort of moved towards games where the player character is sort of a tiny god of their world, and that's really hard to do in a, I'm in the vast desolation of space. Those kind of conflict with each other, so you can't really be a tiny god when you're all alone in deep dark space.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of backlash against what would they call it, interactive fiction style games, right? Like, I think I don't know if David Cage is the right person to make that kind of game, but like the style of Heavy Rain and those kinds of games where it's you observing, and as much, I mean, those are much more like film. Those are much more about telling a pre-written story than about I don't know. I mean, making your own story, which I guess is like the feeling they're trying to capture in most games.
Yeah, I would agree. I would definitely agree. So I'd like to see more space games. I really like body horror in games. It's really easy to gross me out and
What's body horror exactly? Can you explain for somebody?
for somebody who doesn't know
Hellraiser?
body horror. Yeah,
Oh, you don't know
Hellraiser, pretty much anything. Like
I've watched
Cronenberg.
parts of Hellraiser and then decided that it was not for me.
Oh, it's so good.
Hellraiser's really good.
So what's the deal with
Um,
Hellraiser? Like, that's the one with the guy with the pins in his head, right?
His name, in case you're
Pinhead,
curious.
yeah, no,
is
I know
Pinhead.
Pinhead. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is Hellraiser, though, right?
Yes,
It is
that's
Hellraiser, yes.
Okay.
he's the high prince of the tormented, or the high priest of the tormented.
So tormented.
Also, a World War I British soldier.
Okay.
Aaron, you know.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Sorry.
You're good. No, that's good. Those movies are great until later on when they add in like the extra Cenobites, and they're like, here's Poochie Cenobite, and it all kind of goes downhill from there.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Just roll with it. Roll with it. Trust me, they do. There's isn't there like a CD Cenobite later?
Yeah, that's from 3 where they crashed a rave. That's the thing with the body horror. Body horror means like, okay, so in the 3rd movie, there was a set of twins, and they didn't want to be separated ever. They were codependent. So when they opened the gates to whatever plane of torment, then they were twisted and twined into a single being. That's body horror.
Yeah, The Fly.
The Fly, that's a good one.
The Fly's a good one, where there's horrible things. And I enjoy that. There's an element of that in Dead Space, definitely, where, you see humans that have been taken over by evil space creatures and turned into twisted mutants and whatnot. And I find that really good. Good games.
BioShock?
BioShock does that. Secret World, actually, if you actually read the story content in Secret World, there's a lot of that's really good. Just like journals from people who are slowly turning into abominations.
Okay. Yeah.
My very favorite part of Resident Evil is you're going through the mansion, you find this diary, and you read this guy's diary, and it descends into him turning into a zombie and eating his best friend, and he's talking about how he's got a rash and his skin itches and everything is terrible, and he's so hungry and he wants to eat only meat, but he's a vegetarian, and then the very last entry is just itchy, tasty.
Arrow, have you ever played Deadly Premonition?
Is Deadly Premonition the one with the reporter or the one with the random pregnant dolls and the dog?
Not the random pregnant dolls and the dog.
Okay, no, that's Haunting Ground. Okay. Yeah, man, that game was fucked up.
I don't even know. Dolls. All right. Deadly Premonition is really, really good, and it's a nice combination of, there are bits where you just have to run. There's the Raincoat Killer is the possibly imaginary, possibly real bad guy, and there's segments where you just have to run from the Raincoat Killer, but there's also segments where you have to shoot zombies, and there's a lot of kind of story. It was
awesome.
It's a Japanese homage to Twin Peaks.
See, I've never seen Twin Peaks.
Oh.
Yeah, me neither.
Ooh. You guys, this podcast is over, you guys.
This is what happens
No, okay.
when you're enough older than us that
So,
TV show went off.
No. I was in high school when Twin Peaks was airing, and all of the cool kids were watching Twin Peaks and being holier than thou about it. So I was like, fuck Twin Peaks. I'm not going to be one of you bitches. And I watched...
Okay. Yeah, I can respect that.
And instead I watched, Singing in the Rain.
I too do the hipster denial. So
You don't say.
Really? Okay. I'm so surprised.
Okay, first of all, Ellie, you're already on thin ground by implying that I am so much older than you. That
I didn't say you were so much older than me. I said you are enough older than me.
I like how he was talking about how he was a kid when he went to go see Jurassic Park. Yeah. I was standing in line at the midnight
I went for a
show
friend's
for that
13th
one.
birthday party to see Jurassic Park.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's how I know when Jurassic Park came out.
All right. Anyway.
I was a freshman in
Twin
college.
Peaks, the final episode date I just looked up was 1991.
I
So,
was a
like-
freshman in high school, so
Right.
it's
So if
even
you were
worse.
in high school and I was 11, then there you go. It's only like 3 years difference.
Doesn't matter.
We're going to
3
have
years
to
is apparently
find
an
a new
eternity.
co-host.
That's between me and you, Arrow. That's not me and Lior.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Would you like the number to Bubba's backhoe rental to help you keep digging that back for you?
This line of conversation is over. Oh my god. Arrow, what would you like to see out of scary games in the future?
I would like to see less. The same stuff I want to see not in scary movies. Less, oh, look at how gritty we are, and more concentration on the story. If you go to a jump scare to get your point across it at the expense of story or because you're too lazy for story, I am not interested in your bullshit. It's just that there's no problem with the jump scare in service to a story. One of my favorite scary movies is Ju-On. The sequel's not so much, but the first one where there's so much left to the imagination and personal interpretation, and there are a fuck ton of jump scares in that movie, but the jump scares are important. Like there's a scene where, I mean, the girl is hiding under her covers from the ghost, but the ghost is still there. That, breaking the #1 rule of ghost stories. You're supposed to be safe under the covers. Oh, it's the best. But they're so, like, the later Resident Evils, the later Silent Hills, they all do the jump scares instead of the stories. Like, Dead Space 3 I never finished because they weren't even trying anymore. It was just, surprise, you turn around, there's a monster. What?
Yeah, I agree. And you have like Slender, that game that came out last year, and it's all just nothing but jump scares. Oh no, there's Slender Man. And then that's it. And I'm like,
No, it's terrible.
it is terrible.
I also
Yeah,
would
I-
like to see less jump scares.
Well, you want to see less scares, period. You don't count.
I'm
No,
not sure
that's
I'm
not
gonna
true,
ask you what
'cause-
you want to see.
I really liked BioShock. Like, BioShock is definitely
Bioshock
game.
really walked the line for me for egregious jump scares, but the rest of the story, lots of body horror there.
Yeah, no,
The
I
rest of-
liked
the rest of
BioShock
the
a
story
lot.
kind of made it up for me.
Yeah, and that game was really cool, and the atmosphere there, like, that was super fun. And I mean, that's the kind of game that I can get behind. Like, I don't know why. Like, if that was a movie, I probably would have hated it.
Yeah,
But
if
as a
it's
game,
a movie, I would have hated it because there's no way it could have. That you can't.
well, okay, all right, sure. But like, but as a game, I thought it was awesome. So, I mean, I'm not totally opposed to scary games. I just, I don't necessarily go seeking out games that are pure horror. Like, Amnesia is like on my I will not buy list because people are like, I couldn't make it through the credits. And if other people say that, I'm pretty sure I couldn't make it through the
Oh
credits.
wow! I wonder if I own that. I should check my Steam library.
I do own Amnesia Era. I will be Steam friends with you, and you can play my copy.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree about the jump scares. And it's the same with horror movies, as you said. Horror movies and games too, in sort of the Outlast world, they just focus on being like gritty downers.
Yeah.
And while I think there was a brief period of time in kind of like the French New Wave horror where that was acceptable. I'm just really over it now. Like, stop
Yeah.
making gritty downers out of all horror movies. I don't want that anymore. And also, I mean, this is obvious, but just I'm like almost 40 years old. I'm just so tired of seeing movies that are just young women being like semi-sexually menaced. Like, I'm
Yeah.
over that. I'm done with that. If all of your victims are hot young women, I just don't care. I'm bored.
I wish I had a camera because I don't really have anything to say. I mean, nod.
Yes.
Preach it, sister.
So done with that. It's so boring now. So yeah, I don't want to see that in games. I don't want to see games that, try and like gross out over and over. The sequel to Outlast, I'm talking to you, there was some dumbass shit that happened in that, and it was just to be gross as hell. And I just don't care. That's not scary. It's just stupid.
Yeah. I like scary movies and scary games and honestly roller coasters because the endorphin rush and adrenaline it's fun. But when it's something that we already have to deal with in everything else all the time forever, that's not the fun adrenaline, excitement, tension storytelling. I would just read the news if that's what I wanted. Or, honestly, at this point, Twitter.
Yeah, yeah, really. Yeah, no, I agree. Which is why I think games like Alien Isolation, and it's getting really good reviews, it's cool. It's cool. I think that's taking horror stuff in a different way. I'm so excited to see what Silent Hills is going to do, because PT was amazing, and probably right now is in like my top 5 best scary games, even though it was only a teaser.
Yeah.
Is that because they could do things in a teaser that they can't do in a game, and they can like hold it up for that long, but not necessarily over a? I mean, I think that's one of the things about games is games have to be 10 to 15 to 20-hour experiences and not 2.
Since when do games have to be 15 to 20 hours?
I think traditionally games
like most games
okay.
are, and most full-price games, like most.
Oh,
okay.
I see
Games
what
out
you
of
mean.
studios are 15 to 20 hours of play.
I'm
right?
sorry,
So,
I'm thinking of my 80-hour Dragon Age playthrough.
yeah, okay, at least. Let's go with at least, right?
Okay.
Like, so they have to maintain that tension, and they have to maintain those things over that history, like, as opposed to a movie which can do it in, like, they get a couple of hours, right? And if they're a really successful franchise, then they get however many Saws there have been. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I'm interested to see what happens. I want to watch, or I want to hear other people. I'm glad they make horror games, even if I don't play them necessarily. So that's cool.
Yeah. I agree, and they seem to be kind of coming back, and I'll be interested to see where they go with that. They don't all have to be Minecraft with zombies. Cat,
Hi,
Hey, cat.
That's my old man cat. I got my cats in a heating electric blanket, a heated blanket, and now that is like the cat's.
Oh man, they love that way more than you.
Oh, way more than me. They're like, lap, whatever, we've got electricity. So they enjoy that. Well, I think that is actually it for this episode. Good conversation, guys. Arrow on her blog, dragonsworn.net, and me on my blog, lyrablog.com, we've been talking about some horror movies that you might like. So if you like scary movies that don't just be gross out, aren't just torture porn, aren't any of that stuff, check it out, because we have some good suggestions.
Man, I totally watched Candyman the other night.
Candyman's great.
It's on Netflix. I was so excited.
Yeah!
That's another one. I think I snuck in to see that one in the theater.
Yeah, Candyman's good. I snuck in to see the remake of The Blob, like the late 80s remake, and that was not good for my going to sleep.
Oh, the very first movie I ever snuck in to see was Flatliners. That one was scary as hell.
Well, that just goes to show how young you were that you were scared by Flatliners.
I was 13.
We were all young once, and Julie Roberts had that.
But not at the same time.
Yeah. Ellie's blog is on thatangrydwarf.com. He is not talking about horror movies there, though. But he is talking about Extra Life, where you will play Alien Isolation this coming weekend.
I will, and some other games. Mostly yet to be determined. I don't know. I feel like Arrow might have finally badgered me into figuring out a way to play Fatal Frame or Silent Hill or something. So
Fatal Frame 2 is so good. It's so good. It's so good.
Does it rely on Fatal Frame 1? Like, can I skip Fatal Frame 1?
You can skip Fatal Frame 1. I will even write you a summary of Fatal Frame 1. You need background for 3, but they give it to you. It's not that important. 3 is my personal favorite, but 2 is the best.
All right. Well,
I too may look into some sort of emulator solution for that.
no, you won't, because emulators are illegal.
Right. I will hook up my PlayStation 2 to my computer and stream it on Twitch, thanks to Magic.
Oh, wow.
Just a reminder, you're probably listening to this on our the Wednesday, the 22nd, when we release it, which means on the 25th, it is Extra Life. It is 24 hours of streams. I will be streaming. Ellie will be streaming. We'll be on Mumble. I'll be giving away games. It's going to be a lot of fun, so do check it out. Ellie will hopefully be streaming some Alien Isolation. I'm going to be streaming Guild Wars 2 and Transistor and a whole bunch of games that I have bought and haven't played yet. So.
Oh man, Transistor, that's a good one.
Yeah, I was looking at my Steam list. I'm like, what have I bought and not played yet? And that's a good one.
Yeah,
so.
I'm trying to avoid buying games for Extra Life this year, since if I'm going to spend more money on it, I'm just going to make extra donations, which you guys should all do also. But yeah, Alien Isolation, I don't know. I mean, that's a good reason for people to come watch. So. That'll
be good. Make sure you get the camera going so we can see your face.
Oh, the camera will be going. Yep.
When you're terrified, yes. So we'll put links up on our blogs and stuff, so do check it out next weekend. And if you're able to, please donate. Even $5 will make a difference. Donations are tax deductible, and they go to the Children's Hospitals of Oakland and Vancouver. So that's it. Thank you very much for listening. Have a great Halloween, everybody. Hopefully we'll see you pop in the stream sometime during Extra Life, and we'll talk to you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.